Hey everybody, welcome to a new episode of Average Joe Sports, a sports lovers podcast. Thank you for taking the time to listen to the pod today. If you could, please make sure to hit the like button, comment, and subscribe. It helps the channel out a ton and also allows me to continue making more content just like this. So without further ado, let's get right into it. In today's episode of Average Joe Sports, we're going over the Week 4 Thursday Night Football matchup. And the two teams that are meeting up is the Jacksonville Jaguars visiting the Cincinnati Bengals. Let's start off with some key facts that you need to know. Both of these teams are towards the bottom of the NFL when it comes to passing attack. Jacksonville is ranked number 27 with just 223 yards passing a game, while Cincinnati is in 28th place at 213 passing yards a game. Both teams need to step it up. Can't just rely on the running game forever. And two young quarterbacks. Joe Burrow obviously getting hurt last year. Trevor Lawrence his first year. Joe Burrow does seem to have a little bit better grasp on the NFL so far, but give Lawrence some time. He'll come around. A couple of big injury concerns for the Bengals. T. Higgins is out, and also their star safety, Jesse Bates, is out as well. The corner Awuzie is doubtful, so we'll see where he is when it comes to tomorrow night's game. Jacksonville is on an 18-game losing streak dating all the way back to Week 2 of last season. And the Bengals are coming off a huge win last week against Pittsburgh, a team that has pretty much dominated them ever since Big Ben is coming into the picture. So with both teams trending in opposite directions, I think we're in for a great game on Thursday night. Let's start off with the Jacksonville Jaguars. They start off this season at a very disappointing 0-3 start. It's especially disappointing to me as somebody who had them almost at 500. I think I had them at 8-9, and now that the season started, that's totally not going to happen. And after that Week 1 disaster against the Houston Texans, I knew it was pretty much over after that. Now I don't want to count them out by any means, but it's Week 3. It's pretty glim. And if you lose against the Bengals, I'm sorry, Cincinnati fans, you're not going anywhere in the AFC. Now, it's not all been bad from Trevor Lawrence. He's had a few glimpses here and there, but a lack of overall accuracy, and the turnovers especially, have really hurt him in his success so far. The learning curve in between college and the NFL is sometimes brutal. And not only is Trevor Lawrence learning along the way, but so is Urban Meyer. He's learning to run a team. He's understanding that college is not like the NFL. And you have a lot of big names. Now, he's the biggest name right there right now. But if they were a better team, sometimes the players don't always listen to the coach, especially if they don't feel respected. So that's a line that he's going to have to find really fast. And if they start 0-6, 0-7, 0-8, I'm just interested in whether or not Urban Meyer's style can translate into the NFL. But what do you guys think that Urban Meyer and Trevor Lawrence's first win is going to come? Comment down below. And just a little bit of fantasy news. If you have James Robinson, start him, because last week he had over 23 points in fantasy, and I think that that's a sustainable point total for him in the future. Now let's get into the two key players for the Jacksonville Jaguars. And the first one is an obvious choice, but it is Trevor Lawrence. I expect at least a 65% completion percentage. Now, as somebody who's a big fan of Patrick Mahomes, obviously the Chiefs are my favorite team. He's my quarterback. It's been consistent that man throws about a 66 completion percentage. It's been like that 2 or 3 straight years. So that's just what he is, you know. But right now, I think Trevor Lawrence is in the low 50s, whether it's somewhere in between like 54 or it might even be 52. Give me 1 second. But at a 54% completion percentage, that's just not going to get it done. And he has the turnovers to boot. So Trevor Lawrence, at least 65%. Going up against a Bengals secondary who doesn't have their best player in Jesse Bates, that needs to be done. You have the wideouts to do it. Laviska Shenault should have a big game. Marvin Jones needs to be better. And DJ Shark needs to come up in big-time situations. Will they? Who knows? But they need a quarterback that can put it on the numbers. And we've seen Trevor Lawrence do it in college. We just need to see him do it in the NFL. Trevor Lawrence needs to understand that it's okay to punt instead of trying to force the ball into these super small windows where they're easily picked off. And don't forget to use your legs. Get those first downs when you can and scramble for those 5-6 yards. It's okay. Get a new set of downs. The second key player is linebacker Josh Allen. No, not the quarterback Josh Allen. The linebacker Josh Allen. Can he get pressure on Joey B? Can he make Burrow uncomfortable? Can he make him run on that knee that we don't know for sure if he trusts 100%? He does lead the team with 2 sacks, but the tackles are lacking. So as long as he can put pressure on Joey B, I think the Jags will be in good shape. Now let's get into the Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals have been an extremely balanced team this year, with 75 passes and 80 rush attempts. After getting a huge contract this offseason, Joe Mixon has been doing pretty well with what he has. Everyone knows that Cincinnati's O-line is not very good at all, but yet he still has 286 yards and a touchdown on 67 attempts. Not too bad. That's about 4.2 yards per rush. The rookie from LSU, Jamar Chase, is leading the team in receiving with 220 yards and 4 touchdowns. Pretty good numbers for the rookie. The connection there between Joe Burrow and Chase is obviously still there, and that's a good thing to see, especially after passing on Penei Sewell. For Chase, Jamar Chase is also averaging 20 yards per catch. That's a great number. Let's get right into those key players for the Cincinnati Bengals. The first being Tyler Boyd. He had a great touchdown last week where he caught the ball and seemed to just bounce off of every single person on the Steelers' defense. With T. Higgins being out this week, how can Tyler Boyd help take some of the targets that would have went to T. Higgins? You can't just all put it on the rookie Chase. Tyler Boyd also needs to get some of those targets and produce in big yardage situations. I do have a big concern though, in the fact that they just don't really throw to a tight end at all. I was like, who is their tight end? Because when I was searching through the stats, it was just wide receiver, wide receiver, wide receiver. And they do have a tight end, but his name is escaping me right now. But he only has 4 catches on the season for just a little bit over 30 yards. So they just don't really use a tight end, which is crazy to me. It's crazy how a tight end can really take you from being a bottom tier team to a really top tier team. Thankfully, the Chiefs have had like 20 straight years of great tight ends, so, well, I take that back. There was a little bit of a gap between the end of Tony Gonzalez in Kansas City and then us drafting Travis Kelce, and then Travis Kelce was also hurt the first year, so there was a little bit of a gap in between where we had people like Tony Moeaki or that's the only one I can really like. McGrath had a huge beard. If anyone remembers his first name, but McGrath was the player. He didn't wear any gloves. He was a bare-handed catcher. So if anybody remembers him, please put it down in the comments section. Going into the second key player for the Cincinnati Bengals, I have Trey Hendrickson. He leads the team with 2.5 sacks. If you remember, he was the big free agent signing from the New Orleans Saints. Signed a big contract, about 4 years I think it was. So that's good for him. He's getting into a new team, could maybe make more of a name for himself as a good pass rusher. And hopefully he can take advantage of some of those mismatches on that Jags offensive line, which isn't really good either. And we've also seen this year, whenever Trevor Lawrence is in trouble, he's kind of careless with the ball sometimes. So if Trey Hendrickson or anybody else on the Cincinnati Bengals defense can get up in Trevor Lawrence's grill, make him uncomfortable, maybe force him into a couple rookie mistakes, Joe Burrow and company will look to turn those mistakes into points the other way. Now to the best part of the video, right? The score predictions. And I have the Cincinnati Bengals defeating the Jacksonville Jaguars by a final score of 28-23. That was this episode of Average Joe Sports, a sports lovers podcast. I want to thank everybody for taking their time out of their day to listen to the pod, and I'll be back with another episode soon. Thank you guys.